Okay, when you're talking about borehole pumps or submersible pumps, these Nasdaq pumps are fantastic in that they have an inbuilt inverter. That means you can go from AC to a DC power supply, or run it from a generator or a power supply and switch to solar, either through a control box or just directly plugging it from one to the other. Pretty unique. There's no need for a box above ground to do that. It's all built into the pump. So that's why we really think these are probably the best pump on the market. They're Italian made. Practicalities of when you work out what size pump you need. Wiring them, they'll either come wired like this. So two different types of pumps here. This one's a centrifugal pump, a multi-stage centrifugal. Multi-stage centrifugal pumps will pump probably less head but greater quantities. This one here is a helical rotor, which is more of a, the corkscrew type. With these, the water has to go somewhere, so you can't have it on, with a cut-off valve and no safety switches or anything else. It'll blow out your pipe. That particular pump will pump to 200 metres head at up to 100 litres a minute. This one's probably a higher flow rate pump, but much less head. Okay, so these come either wired up like this one is, with a joining kit. These joining kits, once they come with that resin, there's some instructions in there, and we'll go through how you do that later, but you fill the resin after you've done the wiring. If you want the pump to run without a control box, you just wire those two fellas there together, which overrides the cut-off switch that you might normally have. It has still got a dry run protection on it. This is one that's done. So if the hole runs dry, the pump cuts out without any damage. Use good quality rubberized cable. You will use different cable for different types of pumps, and we can specify which one to get. When you wire it up, some of them come with a plug system. Here's one I just loosened up the connector, but it's not difficult. There's a plug that plugs in there, and you can use that. That's got a tech bolt holding in there, but anyway, that's the plug system that you can do, and then that cover goes on there. The only other trick is when you do that, you've got to, this is a shroud cover here, you've got to make sure it goes through your shroud cover before you hook it up to your big long bit of cable. Otherwise you can't get your shroud on. The idea of a shroud, we've got a riser. This is using a gal riser. The other one we've got here is a poly riser, personal preference really. These shrouds stop, most people like putting a shroud on. A shroud can be as simple as a bit of 100mm PVC with some holes drilled in it. This shroud converter though is something you'll probably need. It's a bit hard to do without one. And they enable water flow to come up from the bottom and also to come in from the sides, so come in around your suction, which means your motor is kept nice and cool as it pumps. The rubberized cable and the pipe, which will lead down to that, we use Plasson fittings for the pipe. This one's going to be set up with a 40mm PM16 pipe, pretty good high pressure pipe. The weight of the pump, which is quite significant in some cases, is hanging off that pipe. It doesn't hang from the cable. The safety cable is a separate thing that's run down the hole separately. The weight of the pump hangs off that. So Plasson fittings will give me a grip test rating that tells me that will hold that. Other companies will not supply that grip test rating, so we use Plasson fittings for down those holes. Stainless steel clamps, depending on the setup. These things work hung vertically or horizontally. There's a few tricks to hanging it horizontally. If you're going to put it in a dam, we can run through later on too.